When it comes to strategy in magic, there are two areas we could really look at here. The first being the strategy you take in learning magic. Where do you begin? How do you progress? And the second could be the strategy you actually take in your magical rites and spell work and things like that. And in that aspect, we could probably consider talking about the four powers of the Sphinx, also known as the Witch's Ladder or the Witch's Pyramid, the four powers of the Magus. There's lots of names it comes by, but that is to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. But firstly, the intro. Okay, so today I want to talk about magical strategy from the point of view of how you actually learn magic and the progress that you actually take. And then on Tuesday next week, I'll talk about the second part of it. But before I get started with this, I just want to actually mention I have started a training group. It's called the Temple of Chaos, and when an applicant comes along and applies, then they'll go through a 1-year training program, and that really gets them started in magic from the basics right through to some really good foundation work. And that's mostly what I'm going to talk about today, because for anybody coming into magic to begin with and actually wanting to be a magic user, whether that's a witch, a magician, or chaos, whatever it is, you really do need foundations in order to progress properly. It really is the difference between whether you want to be just a mediocre magician or magic user, or whether you actually want to reach the level of being an adept. So let's have a look at that today. As I said, I've created this training group. It will eventually become something bigger. So as I progress people through the actual training program, anybody who applies needs to go through the same training, because even somebody who has been using magic for a while, it's not a bad thing to go back to the beginning and actually just work through all that stuff again, the breath techniques and proper sitting and things like that. From the point of view that quite often as we progress, we tend to forget the things that we learned at the beginning, and they're actually very important. And there might be other stuff such as ancestral work or sigil magic or something in those lines that will be taught in the program that you may have not actually come or experienced yet. So I do like everybody to go through the same training program so that everybody's on the same page when they actually get to the outer circle. So after the training, then they'll be considered for initiation into the outer circle. They may not want to be initiated. It depends on you. It depends on the group itself as to what happens at that stage. But regardless of whether you do enter the outer circle or you don't, the training program itself actually gives you a very solid foundation to actually start developing your own path. And eventually it will go further into an inner circle, and the main focus will be on chaos magic, with a very heavy leaning on demonolatry. But to begin with, it will cover a lot of different grounds, a lot of different paths, a lot of different traditions, that you can get a very broad sort of basis of very broad training in just magic in general. So it'll take you from the beginning and it'll bring you right through. But if you're actually watching this video and you are just really new to magic and you're thinking, I want to do a spell, I want to open my third eye, I want to do this, I want to do that, because it's all just sounds fantastic and amazing. I'm sorry, I am going to disappoint you. If you want to be a good magician, a proper magician, and not just a mediocre, dabbler, then you do need the proper foundations, and that involves meditation, concentration, visualization, good technique in breath work. All of these aspects are actually really, really important and vital to actually progressing through into magic. So the course itself will actually take you right from the point of creating, right at the beginning, creating mini goals in order to get yourself into the habit of actually sitting twice a day. And then progressing from there into actually sitting and increasing the time up to about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but that's just sitting. Then you'll go on to breath work, and then you'll go on to actual meditation with one-pointed focus, one-pointed concentration. Then you'll progress on to a state of no thought. But the other types of work we'll be doing are, we'll be looking at ancestral work, how to work with your ancestors and those who came before you. We'll be going into candle magic and sigil work. I want to bring in candle magic and sigil work from the perspective of it creates the understanding of how magic actually works. Candle magic is very much sympathetic magic, whereas sigil magic is chaos magic, but it's more focused on how to actually transfer a thought or an idea or a desire into the unconscious mind in order to bring about its manifestation, whereas candle work is, as I say, is more sympathetic. They both work on the same basis, where you actually bring the desire into the unconscious to get it to manifest, but the approaches are slightly different. So once you get used to actually working with magic itself from those two bases, then going into servitor work, going into invocations of spirits, working with spirits of place, all the things that I've mentioned in the past few weeks, they would then be part of the outer circle. But it then becomes easier, and because you have the meditation practice and the concentration practice, then actually working things like mirror scrying, for instance. Try gazing at a mirror for an hour without the actual foundation work, without actually being able to sit for an hour, or not just sit but also focus, concentrate, keep the mind actually focused on one point, on one idea, one thought, one desire for an hour. It's not that easy. So with that foundational work, with the meditation, concentration, everything else, you're then able to easily, or not easily, but more easily progress into the more advanced stuff. So, you can go pick up a book on spell work and candle magic and just go and do your spells. But as I say, it's whether you want to be a mediocre magic user or an adept magic user. And there's a big difference between the two. So if you're happy with, just being mediocre, that's fine. But some of us want to actually really reach into the depths of it and really go down the rabbit hole. And that's what this is for. So when it comes to the idea of creating a magical strategy from this point of view, from where you actually start and how you progress through your learning process, then this is very important. The foundations are very important. What is also important when you're actually beginning is to expose yourself to as many different traditions, religions and paths that you can get your hands on. Read as much as you can, really. And read the old masters as well, Crowley, Fortune, Franz Barden. I think a lot of people ignore the older books nowadays because they say that they're outdated. If you read Levi, Eliphas Levi, it may come across as being outdated because it's 100 years old or something like that. But the information in there creates the foundations of what we actually practice today. So, read the old guys, read the old masters, and read the new ones. There's a lot of trash out there. There really is a lot of trash out there, especially nowadays. People are just, spewing out books and information left, right and centre without actually not really knowing what they're talking about half the time. So you do need to try and sift through the good from the bad. But in that case, ask somebody who actually knows. If they've actually read the book and they know it's trash, they'll tell you it's trash. There's actually a very good YouTuber. I'll link to her channel below. Her name's Thorn, but she does a lot of reviews about books, and she is an initiated Wiccan. Very knowledgeable, very good, and because she does a lot of reviews about books, she covers books that are absolute trash and books that are brilliant. So I'll link to her channel in the description. Go and check her out because she's very good. But yeah, it's really a case of just exposing yourself as much as you can, because what you'll find is that, somebody might say, can't go down this path. And it might be great for them, but it's not going to suit you. It's not going to fit you properly. So if you expose yourself to as many different traditions and paths as you can, then you'll get a feel for each one, and you'll sort of start leaning towards one or two or three maybe, and then just venture down those paths, learn a bit more about them, get to know them a bit better, and see if they do actually fit with you. If they don't, then just move on to another one and see if that one fits you. There's no harm and no shame in going from one tradition to another when you're trying to find your way, because you could spend 20 years in one path and then realize, well, it wasn't actually for me, but it just became so familiar that you just stuck with it. But if you do experience as many as you can find out which one actually fits you the most and fits you the best. And then you can go with it, and you'll probably find that over the years you'll venture down different paths, and you'll pick up different information. You'll pick up some information from here, and you'll pick up some information from here, and then some from over here, and you'll mix it all together, and it'll become your path. And that's really what the whole idea is at the end of the day, to create your own path. Nobody's path is no two people's paths are the same. You do get groups that focus on a similar thing and a similar desire, outcome, and things like that, and they follow a particular tradition. But individually, they are experienced in other areas, and they are interested in other areas as well. They don't just follow what the group believes in, what the group follows. They explore. People in magic, especially those of us that actually do like going deep down into the rabbit hole, we love to learn more and experience more, and bring those little elements into our own path and knit them in there and really move forward. So it really is down to two things. Well, three things. Learn as much as you can, experience as much as you can, and really do practice the foundation work, because without the foundation work, you'll just stay mediocre. I did it, and I'm sure many others did it, where you pick up a book on Wicca or magic or something, and it's all got spells and rituals, and it's like, it really captures your attention, and it's all the sparkly bits, and then you just want all these sparkly bits, because it is a bit of an escape, and we all kind of want an escape in our lives. So it creates that escape for us, or the idea of an escape, and so we want all the sparkly bits, and we want to do the spell work, and we want to do the rituals, because it makes us feel alive. It really does make us feel alive. But if we carry on doing that for the rest of our lives, without all the foundation work, we'll probably eventually get there where we do become adept. But if you actually start with that foundation work right at the beginning, then the actual progress is going to be a lot easier and a lot quicker to actually become advanced. So just take the time. It's not a long I mean, I've been practicing for 25 years now. If I'd have actually done just this 1 year program and stuck to it and really gone through it, I probably would have been much further than I am now. I mean, 25 years I've progressed a lot, but I do realise that I could have progressed further, which is a shame. It's a pity, but it was my path. It was the path I was meant to choose, meant to walk, and that's how it is. But anyway, so that's it. So on Tuesday next week, we'll talk about magical strategy from the point of view of actually doing your rites, your rituals, your spell work, and we'll cover the 4 powers of the Sphinx, or whatever name you want to call it. It's been covered in practically every tradition and path now. It's the four virtues of or 4 pagan virtues or something. The Wiccans have also added a 5th one. It's evolved. But the 4 powers of the Sphinx, as far as I remember, is the original basis of it. So we'll discuss that and how it actually relates and fits in with your magical practice in general, not just your rites and spell work. And yeah, so it's Friday. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.